Alright, 99.9 Punk World Radio FM. We are live with a phenomenal artist. He is from our neck of the woods. That's right, Ottawa, Ontario, the nation's capital. We got the one and only Jake Demarsh right here, live on the radio station airwaves. Jake, how are you doing this evening, I should say?
I'm doing great, buddy. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, you
Stellar
are most
introduction.
certainly welcome. Hey, man, it just comes with the times, man. But I gotta say, everything I said, I meant, man. Honestly, it's so great to just know that there is amazing, talented individuals like yourself in our area, man. If you keep doing what you're doing, I already know darn well it's gonna blow up worldwide.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
But I gotta take you back to the beginning of your musical journey, man. And I gotta know, like, what actually got you into the music industry originally, man? Because, like I mentioned, you're such a phenomenal, talented artist.
Um, well, if you're talking about the actual industry or music, but I guess it all kind of progressed when I was in treatment. I'd had an idea that I'd wanted um, to put a song on Spotify and kind of solidify some music of my own and put it out into the world, and that's kind of where that started. And then it just sort of snowballed as I came to learn about more and more about the music industry and connecting with people here. It just became kind of a real obsession of mine to just continue to do it at like whatever level I could do it at the best of my ability with my means, right? So that's kind of where that started. But if you're talking about where it started with my musical career in terms of like when I started playing, that happened way before, where I started playing drums in a church worship band actually when I was like about 10. So got roots in the church way back when. So
And since you actually mentioned that you were a drummer, me personally, as a fan of your music, I did not know that. So, with your singles that you currently have out, do you actually implement your own drums actually on those songs, or did you actually hire a drummer to actually perform alongside you for your released music?
yeah, that's a great question. So what I usually do is like right here where I'm sitting is I'll write the song and compose it all. And I met some really great people out here in Gatineau at RC Productions that are like literally almost just down the street from me. And normally I would play on I could play on the songs, but I wanted to implement being able to do live performances with these same musicians as well. So I don't play on these tracks. Some of the tracks, like I think Still Hope is programmed drums. Um, but in Way Home, the newest release, it has some kind of incorporated drum loops as well as real live drumming in the percussion of the choruses. So yeah, so they're fulfilled by a guy named Vincent Blanchette who I met here in the studio in Gatineau. So yeah, they've been instrumental. They also we played a show together, our first gig there at Canaxus. Went really well, but yeah, he played live drums for me there as well. So it's just, when you get to this kind of stage in music, you start to realize that it's better to allow other people to implement their skills. It's like you don't want to always be doing everything, right? So I think that's something that I learned for sure.
And also, as well, July 8th of 2022, you actually released the phenomenal single titled "Still Hope." I was wondering if you can actually just tell us the story behind this amazing song, and of course, where can we actually buy or stream ourselves a copy of this amazing single today?
Yeah, so first the story behind that song um, was basically it was written kind of in a retrospective way, thinking back to how I was kind of feeling and trying to make a song that was relatable to a feeling that maybe people struggle with mental health or addiction have, um, in terms of that. And then it just, again, the ideas, they just sort of evolve. And I just thought, well, initially I thought, well, I'll give the streaming revenue. It's my first song. It'd be nice to give back, and I'll donate all the streaming revenue to charity for local organizations. And then that was my me learning about the music industry and streaming royalties and things like that. And I was like, well, that's just gonna seem gimmicky because it's so little amount of money per stream, and for a new artist, it's kind of like laughable. So I decided to start a GoFundMe that's attached to the artist.
Jake, I think your mic cut out a little bit.
Did
It
it?
sounds like it's kind of like covered. Oh, there we go. It just came back. It sounded like you were almost covered up there for a moment.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, so I don't know what about what part you missed of that, but yeah. So anyway, the it was we raised $1,300 with the GoFundMe, which was a probably a better idea initially, anyways. But it was distributed to organizations in the community that work with recovering addicts. Um, and yeah, that song can be found on Spotify and anywhere that you stream music. But yeah, it was a rewarding experience to be able to have come from where I came from, struggling with addiction for years, to be able to put a song out and be able to give back to these organizations that were extremely helpful to my recovery journey. So
And also, as well, you were actually a member of the Ottawa Music Industry Coalition. I was wondering, how did you actually originally get connected with that company? And of course, what is it ultimately like just working alongside them? Because I looked at the roster, man. There's so many other phenomenal Ottawa, Ontario industry connects all together on one coalition, man. It seems like a phenomenal organization.
yeah, it really is. I'm not exact. I can't really pinpoint exactly how I discovered them. I think I was just at one point like really trying to plug myself into the music scene after realizing I was going to try to take this kind of music thing to the more professional level. And I guess their name had come up or in a search or something, but I feel very fortunate. And the people at Oh Mike, they're really great people. They're artists like myself, and they work in different capacities in the music industry in the city. A great source for any musician to get plugged into, and I've really enjoyed working with them and playing the shows that they provide opportunities for artists to play. But yeah, I would highly recommend anyone who's looking to try to plug themselves into the music industry in the city is definitely a must with the Ottawa Music Industry Coalition for sure.
And aside from the music industry, just for a moment, as all Jake Demarsh fans know, you are a mental health and addiction advocate. I was wondering if you could actually just tell us a bit more about that, and what is some great advice you actually have for individuals that are kind of going through, addiction or mental health crises.
Yeah, well, that came about like that's kind of the whole reason why I moved to Ottawa was to get clean. I was really having a struggle there in the GTA where I used to live, and so I moved to Ottawa almost 4 years ago now. And by the grace of God, I was able to get clean, and have been for almost 4 years now. And that's kind of I'd really struggled uh, watching a lot of people around me pass away from fentanyl overdoses, which I myself had multiple overdoses. And I felt like this was my way. Doing the advocation was a way for me to help justify why I was spared, and some of these other people that had passed on. It was very hard to justify for me why I was the one that didn't happen to, where it very well could have. So it helps keep me sober. Helps it drives me forward with being able to you know use that as a narrative to share my music, rather than it just be like, hey, listen to my song. Like, I like the fact that there's that kind of meaning and sense of community building behind it. Because otherwise, before this, I wasn't really a big social media guy, or into that at all. But uh, found a new kind of motivation and drive to push that message out, and so that's why I continue to do it. But um, in terms of you know some sort of advice that people could take from it, is just that like, there was multiple failed attempts on my part to try to get clean. And I think it's hard for people that are in that position to sometimes see the long game, and to see that it is possible. So that's another reason why I share my story, is because I was probably on the further end of the spectrum you know, how bad drug abuse can get. So I just keep telling, try to be vulnerable and share my truth and my story, and hope that that in some way can maybe reach a few people, and that could change the trajectory of their lives. I don't know, but hopefully that's the aim anyway.
And also as well, October 18th of 2023, you actually released your most recent single titled "Way Home." I was wondering if you can actually just tell us a bit more about this amazing, most recently released single of yours.
Yeah, well, that single, that was a fun one to work on with the guys in the studio. But I guess the kind of premise of the song was, it started with the idea that back when I'd actually gotten kicked out of a um, what is it? It's like kind of like a hostel, I guess, place where you stay, homeless shelter, out in Oakville, and I was just feeling really, really low. And I remember like feeling like I'd lost faith in myself and God and the people around me and everything, and but just kind of had that there was still maybe some hope, and that was kind of what drove me through that dark time. And yeah, and so that's kind of where the premise of the song started, and it started with like kind of faith, and then these other intangible forces like love and peace and all these like things. So I just started to kind of elaborate on those, and that's kind of how I the ideas that I built the song around.
And I gotta say as well, the song is absolutely amazing, man. Both of these songs you have released in your music career is absolutely amazing. And going into that, I have to ask, man, will there actually be a full length Jake Demarsh album coming in the future, man? Because I can only imagine the next song that you actually release, man. So you can feel your heart, you can feel your soul through all your entire music.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, man. But yes, we're actually same studio with the same guys. I'm working with the team there, my buddy Ken and Renee. Sylvain's another one. These are guys are all solid musician. One plays the bass, drums. Ken's the guitarist that plays in the live band. So, but yeah, the next single I got coming out, we're already started recording it in the studio, and I'm really really excited about this one. Usually they say to try to like you do releases in a certain order on purpose. Well, I think that this kind of just by maybe happenstance is going to be the one that's it's definitely the strongest song on the EP in my opinion. It's one of my favorites. It's called Dreams, and it's about finding your passions and not letting society kind of dictate like our ideas of what we think people should be doing as a way to get through life, or monetize their life in order to pay for what they have to pay for. It's just, if you find something that you're passionate about, those things will come, right? So it's kind of about one of those ideas. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that for sure.
If you don't be asking, because obviously, by the sounds of it, it's still currently in the works. But do you have an estimated release date for that single? Because I do know if I didn't ask that, I know a lot of the fans would probably be guessing anyway. So I figured I'd ask for the fans.
um Yeah, I think that I would like to, like, we've had talks about it for sure, about trying to get it done by hopefully just at the beginning of the new year. But that's basically all I can say, because, sometimes things happen. We're trying to get into a scheduled routine of getting to the studio, but with many different schedules in the works, and, people's lives and things like that, it can be difficult at some point. So I'll just say that hopefully we can get it out. I'd like to get it entered into the there's a last year I got nominated with Still Hope for a Capital Music Award for the Mike puts on a Capital Music Awards. And so I'd like to try to enter it for Song of the Year if I can get it out in the deadline, within the parameters of the deadline. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. We're working hard.
And we also got a fan comment here from Parliament of Owls, another phenomenal artist from the area. He says, digging the song,
Oh
Way
yeah.
Home.
Well, shout out to Wade. I had an opportunity to meet with Wade actually recently. He's a solid individual. We're very like-minded in the way that we think about music and trying to help other people and combining those two things. So excited to work with him in the future. So thank you for that.
And Wade is definitely a phenomenal individual. I had the opportunity to meet him at a wrestling event a few weeks back, and got
Oh,
him
no way.
coming up on the radio station as well next month. Yeah, he was performing
Awesome.
at Great North Wrestling in Renfrew. Man, got to catch his performance. I tried to listen to as much as I could because aside from the music industry, I work as a floor manager. So I was
Okay.
running around with a chicken, like a chicken with my head cut off. But from what I heard and what I got to see, absolutely stellar performance. So I'm super stoked just to be able to learn a little bit more about his music when I interview him as well.
Yeah. Right on, man. That sounded like an
But
interesting
also,
event.
it definitely was, but I mean,
Yeah.
hey, it was definitely interesting. But it was really cool. They actually had I think that was the first event I worked where they actually had like a live performance before the actual wrestling event. It's
Yeah,
definitely
which is
different, but
cool.
it's smart.
Yeah, exactly. Give the people some entertainment, right? That's what it's about.
Because yeah, especially because 90% of the time at those events, man, when you're waiting from the 6 o'clock doors open to like 7, you kind of just
Exactly.
sit there and stare at an empty rink with your twiddling your thumbs. So at least there was something there to actually entertain the fans.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's smart.
And also, October 25th of 2023, you actually did a stellar live stream performance from the Kin Axis headquarters. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about this live stream performance. And of course, will there actually be any up and coming future performances? That way the listeners can actually come out and see Jake Demarsh live in full effect if they haven't already done so yet.
Yeah, so the Canaxus show, that was a great opportunity. That was another one that was kind of suggested by Mike. Um, I guess Canaxus is like a private company that has local touring acts come through and local artists come through, and so they got us to come play with my friend Jessica from Toronto, who I've done music with before. So yeah, that show was awesome. That place is pretty surreal. I guess the owner of it of Canaxus, John Sicard, he's very very involved in music himself. He plays music. He has a studio himself. I believe he records or produces artists of some type in the city as well. So yeah, that was a great opportunity to go and play there. Um, but what was the other part of the question there at the end?
Oh, just if there's actually any other additional up and coming shows, that way our
Yes,
listeners can snag
that's
some
right.
tickets.
Well, as of right now, I'm just trying to focus on. I might play some smaller solo stuff, but as for something like the Canaxus where I have the full band come out, I'm gonna do some more proper planning to plan out those shows. Right now, I've been busy with the promotion of the new single, and then also recording this other single. Plus, I'm working full time, so it's a lot of stuff going on. So just keep grinding away. I can only do so much, so I just keep grinding.
Definitely understandable, especially you're one individual as well, right? So at the end of the day, you
Yeah,
are human, but I definitely cannot wait for this new EP when it does get released, man. It definitely sounds like you're putting your heart and soul into this entire project, man. So
yeah,
I'm also excited to actually see when this EP comes out and you actually take the stage and get the chance to perform these songs, man. Because I think not only the album will be heartfelt, but I think even on stage you'll really be able to see just how much energy you really put into these lyrics when you do perform them in front of in front of an amazing large live audience.
yeah. I'm really looking forward to that, man. I would like to. There's a batch of songs that I wrote originally, and then some new ones that have been getting added in to the mix of things that we were going to put on like a 5 song, I think, EP or something like that. But since then, like since I started this, it was almost 2 years ago or something that I wrote Still Hope initially, and Way Home was another one in that batch of first songs. So the next song is one that's going to be way newer in my archive of songs, if you will. I've written, probably like I don't know, maybe 25 or something like that. So some I won't use, some I will. So I'm just gonna pick the ones that I like that resonate with me the most, and try to go with those. So for this EP and maybe the next album as well. So
And I have to ask, what is next for yourself? Like, is there anything we happen to miss during this evening's interview? Anything else you do still want to talk about, touch on, or promote? Well, we still got you here live on the radio station airways this evening.
Um, Not really. Just if you haven't listened to Way Home, you should definitely go and do that. I have, like I said, I'm just trying to keep it simple for now and not overcomplicate the scheduling of too much things. Like I said, I am actually trying to work with I don't know if Wade's still here, but we're hoping to try to put something together. Him and I a show, maybe next in the spring. I'll probably try to book another smaller gig. Well, I can see if I can get the band together to do another gig with, like, say, build up a small bill at a bar somewhere, or a show somewhere. That's definitely in the works. But in the immediate future, I don't have anything other than just focusing on getting the songs that I need to get recorded for the EP, get that released, and then probably by the spring, I'll be ready to start kind of doing a mini tour around the city, of actually going and putting on shows and playing these songs for people with other great acts here in Ottawa. So I'm looking forward to that for sure.
And before we actually part ways here this evening, Jake, obviously I know how to follow you on social media, but for the individuals that might just be discovering yourself and your phenomenal music here this evening, how can they go about following you across all social media platforms? That way they can stay updated on everything you currently got going on, and of course, this up-and-coming EP when it does actually get dropped to the general public.
Yeah, so it's pretty basic. All my social medias are at Jake Demarsh. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about my story or journey, there's a little bit more on jakedemarshmusic.com. It's Jake Demarsh on Spotify, TikTok, Instagram, across all the platforms. It's Jake Demarsh Music on YouTube, or yeah, no, sorry, on Facebook, and Jake Demarsh on YouTube as well. Have some videos of some covers and different things like that. But yeah, so you can find me pretty much on all those platforms, and just keep up to date with anything that I got releasing. I do a lot of mental health and addiction advocacy on Instagram, is one of the main platforms I use. So if that's something that interests you, then follow along.
And I gotta say, first and foremost, Jake, thank you so much, man, for giving not only myself, but the radio station airways a bit of your time here this evening, man. It was such an honor speaking with you, and hopefully down the line we can make this happen again sometime soon. But for now, definitely have yourself a phenomenal night.
All right, man. Pleasure chatting with you. Take care, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much, man. We